Hi everyone, コアラです。今日の英語で雑学は Is koala dumbest animal? 今日は世界で一番おバカと言われる動物、コアラについて探ります。意外な事実に驚くかも。では最後までお楽しみください。
I have discovered the dumbest animal on Earth.
You finally looked in a mirror?
Not today, Leo. I'm talking about the koala.
The adorable Australian tree potato?
Exactly. Apparently, you can put a koala inside a room completely covered in eucalyptus leaves,
Its only food.
and it will still starve because the leaves aren't attached to a tree.
That is impressively stupid.
Right? Imagine starving inside a supermarket because the sandwiches weren't growing on branches.
Before we publicly insult an entire species, did you check whether that story is actually true?
I saw it on the internet.
So, no.
Fine. But koalas really do have tiny brains, don't they?
Yes, that part is true. A 1998 study examined the brains of 27 adult koalas from South Australia, 18 males and 9 females. The average koala weighed about 8 kilograms. Its brain weighed just 19.2 grams.
An 8-kilogram animal with a 19-gram brain?
Yes. The researchers then compared that with the brain size normally predicted for a mammal of the same body weight. Depending on which mathematical formula they used, the result changed slightly. But one commonly used calculation estimated that the koala's brain was only 38.9% of the expected size. Other formulas produced estimates of 35.3% and 49.7%.
So whichever formula you choose, the answer is
Pretty small.
a scientifically certified tiny brain.
But the study also included an important warning. These comparisons depend heavily on which animals and equations you use, and there is no reliable universal rule that lets us convert brain size directly into intelligence.
So the koala has a small brain is a fact, but therefore it is the dumbest animal alive is not.
Exactly.
But its brain is also smooth, right?
Relatively smooth, yes. In 2026, researchers used high-resolution MRI to examine the brain of an adult female koala that had died naturally. The brain's measured volume was 15,720.98 cubic millimeters. That is about 15.7 milliliters.
That's basically 1 tablespoon.
By volume, roughly. And the cerebral cortex was relatively smooth, without the deep folds seen in many larger mammalian brains. The scientific term is lissencephalic.
Tiny and smooth. The internet must have been delighted.
But there is another major limitation. That MRI study examined only one female koala, so we should not treat 15.7 milliliters as the average brain volume of the entire species. And the study was not designed to measure intelligence. Its purpose was to create a detailed anatomical map that could help with future koala brain research and medical diagnosis.
So the scientists created a brain atlas, and the internet turned it into an insult.
As usual.
Still, koalas only eat eucalyptus, don't they?
They are extremely specialized eucalyptus eaters, but they do not simply eat any eucalyptus leaf they can find. There are more than 600 species of eucalyptus, and koalas feed from only a limited selection. Even within the same species, they may eat heavily from one tree and ignore the tree right beside it.
They're choosing between hundreds of menus with that tiny brain?
And their choices can be surprisingly precise. A study published in 2019 observed 10 captive koalas in Japanese zoos. Researchers recorded what happened when a koala approached a leaf. Did it sniff the leaf and eat it? Did it sniff the leaf and reject it? Or did it begin eating without sniffing? The koalas frequently smelled the leaves before deciding whether to eat them.
So they weren't failing to recognize the food. They were inspecting it.
Possibly. In another part of the experiment, 4 koalas were offered 6 different eucalyptus species at the same time. The researchers measured how long each koala spent eating each type. Then they analyzed the volatile chemicals released by the leaves using gas chromatography and mass spectrometry.
That seems like a lot of laboratory equipment for lunch.
They detected 24 distinct chemical peaks and identified 23 compounds. Some compounds, including beta-linalool, alpha-thugenol, and geraniol, were associated with how long the koalas spent eating particular leaves.
So koalas are analyzing the chemical composition of leaves with their noses?
Not in the same way a laboratory machine does. But the evidence suggests that smell helps them detect chemical differences between leaves. Those differences may provide clues about nutrition, water content, or defensive chemicals. And the preferences were not identical in every koala. A chemical associated with feeding in one individual was not necessarily equally attractive to another.
They don't just recognize the food, they have personal taste.
Apparently,
This eucalyptus has a promising opening aroma, but the moisture is disappointing, and the chemical finish is unnecessarily aggressive.
koalas may be the sommeliers of poisonous leaves.
Are eucalyptus leaves really that bad?
They are extremely difficult food. They are tough, low in usable energy and protein, and packed with defensive chemicals produced by the plant to discourage animals from eating them. These include terpenes, phenolic compounds, and other substances that can be toxic in large amounts. For most animals, eucalyptus is less like salad.
And more like eating leather sprayed with plant poison.
That is surprisingly accurate. But a major koala genome study published in 2018 showed that koalas have evolved specialized genetic equipment for this diet. One of the most important findings involved cytochrome P450 enzymes. These enzymes help the body process foreign and potentially toxic chemicals.
That sounds like a robotic detoxification system.
In koalas, researchers found 2 major koala-specific expansions in a group known as CYP2C. The koala genome contained 31 genes in this group, and when researchers examined where those genes were active, they found particularly strong expression in the liver. That is exactly where you would expect a major detoxification system to operate.
So instead of investing in a large brain, the koala built an industrial poison processing plant in its liver.
It also has equipment to detect dangerous chemicals before swallowing them. The study identified 24 genes for TAS2R bitter taste receptors. That is more than in several other Australian marsupials and unusually high among mammals. Bitter taste receptors can help animals detect terpenes, phenols, toxic glycosides, and other plant chemicals. Researchers also found expansions in receptors that may help koalas detect chemical signals through smell.
So the system is smell the leaf, taste the poison, then send whatever survives to the liver.
More or less.
Tiny brain, extremely advanced eucalyptus security system.
Evolution does not always produce an animal that is good at everything. Sometimes it produces an animal that is astonishingly good at one very specific job.
But why choose such terrible food in the first place?
Because almost nobody else wants it. Energy-rich, delicious food attracts lots of competition. But if you can process tough, toxic, low-nutrient leaves, you gain access to a huge food supply that most animals avoid.
So koalas chose the world's worst restaurant because there was no queue.
That is basically their strategy.
The restaurant serves nothing but warm cardboard, but they own the entire cardboard market.
There is a price, though. Because eucalyptus provides so little usable energy, koalas spend most of the day resting and minimize unnecessary activity.
Maybe they aren't stupid. Maybe they are permanently operating on 2% battery.
Exactly. A koala's lifestyle is basically permanent low power mode.
No unnecessary movement.
No unnecessary thinking.
No unnecessary meetings.
Now you're making them sound smarter than humans.
right, what about the famous story that they cannot recognize leaves once they are removed from a branch?
There does not appear to be reliable scientific evidence for the dramatic version of that story. Some koalas may hesitate when food is presented in an unfamiliar way. In nature, they select fresh leaves directly from branches using smell, texture, freshness, and other cues.
So, an unfamiliar presentation could make them cautious.
Yes, but that is very different from claiming that koalas are completely incapable of recognizing detached eucalyptus leaves, or that they would definitely starve inside a room filled with them. Captive koalas have been observed eating leaves from trays, containers, and feeding stations.
So the internet transformed. Koalas prefer fresh leaves on branches into koalas will stare directly at lunch until they die.
The second version gets more clicks.
I'm still disappointed.
You were hoping for the eucalyptus death room?
A little. But can koalas learn anything new?
At least when the task matters in their natural environment, yes. In southeastern Queensland, researchers studied whether koalas would use modified structures beneath roads. The goal was to reduce the number of animals killed by traffic.
Koala underpasses?
Essentially. The researchers used cameras, radio transmitters, RFID tags, and remote identification equipment. That allowed them to determine not only that a koala had crossed, but which individual had used the structure and when.
So it wasn't just one extremely confused koala walking back and forth 130 times.
They could identify the individuals. During the 30-month study, researchers recorded 130 koala crossings through the modified structures and associated passages. And according to the research team, koalas began using them about 3 weeks after installation.
Wait, the animal accused of not recognizing a loose leaf learned to use a newly modified tunnel in 3 weeks?
Yes. Of course, that does not prove the koalas studied the engineering plans. They may have followed scents left by other koalas. One may have entered by accident and then remembered that it was a safe route. But either way, it shows that koalas can investigate a new structure, remember a route, and use it again.
So they are not incapable of learning. They just learn what is useful to them.
Exactly. They are specialized, not completely helpless. An animal may perform badly in an artificial puzzle designed by humans, while being extremely capable at solving the problems it actually faces in nature.
Like putting me in a room filled with tax forms.
Exactly.
I would starve in a room full of tax forms.
And nobody would conclude that your entire species is incapable of recognizing paper.
Koala childhood is still very strange, though.
You mean pap?
I mean the baby eating something that comes out of its mother's rear end.
Young koalas eat a special soft substance produced by their mothers called pap. It helps transfer the gut microbes they need to digest eucalyptus.
So the mother gives the baby a starter pack for processing poisonous leaves.
Think of it as installing eucalyptus digestion software.
Through a delivery method that no app store would approve.
Nature has very relaxed content policies.
All right, final verdict. Is the koala really the dumbest animal on Earth?
There is no scientific ranking of the world's dumbest animals. Koalas do have unusually small brains for their body size. Their cerebral cortex is relatively smooth, and they may not be flexible, general-purpose problem solvers. Extreme specialization can also become a weakness when the environment changes quickly.
But they are not incapable of recognizing food.
No, they use smell and chemical cues to make detailed feeding decisions. They have specialized bitter taste receptors, smell receptors, detoxification genes, digestive systems, and gut microbes that allow them to survive on toxic, low-energy leaves. And when necessary, they can learn new routes and use unfamiliar structures.
So a koala is not a universal genius.
But when it comes to surviving on eucalyptus, it is an extraordinarily specialized machine.
It found a food source with almost no competition. It spends most of the day sleeping. And it still became internationally famous simply by being adorable.
When you put it that way,
The koala may be smarter than all of us.
or it may simply be the world's most specialized couch potato.
Tiny brain, massive detoxification system, perfect public relations.
At the very least, it has built one of the strongest brands in the animal kingdom.
Thanks for watching. If you found this interesting, I'll see you in the next one.
コアラの英語メモ。
Adorable. Adorable.
Species. Species.
Cautionary tale. Cautionary tale.
動画のどこに出てきたか探してみてくださいね。ご視聴ありがとうございました。チャンネル登録よろしくお願いします。